All praises, glory, and honor is most certainly due to the Most High, the God of the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and peace to you. In the name of Jesus, this is your brother Elisha Israel of the House of the Faith. I count it truly a blessing each and every single time that I can come before you to preach the word of God. And never do I count it as a light thing to do so. All right, brothers and sisters, I want to get right into today's topic. And the topic is understanding judgment. Understanding judgment. Judgment is definitely, certainly related to justice. And it also, so when people talk about judgment in the scriptures, they think, you can't judge, somebody. All right. Not understanding that you got judgment, which is referred to as justice. Then you got judgment, which is how you look at a matter pertaining to what the word of God says in regard to a specific activity. Okay. So, I just want to look at something, understanding judgment, which is related to justice. And what made me think about this is this case. And I want to read something from the Huffington Post. This is entitled, it's by Sam Levine. It's an article. It says, she got 5 years for voting illegally once. Paul Manafort got less time for years of cons. Okay. So this woman, this sister out of Texas, I'm going to just read it. Crystal Mason found out that Paul Manafort was sentenced to less than 4 years in prison on Thursday. And this is from the 8th of March. She said, peace to everybody that's listening. Crystal Mason found out that Paul Manafort was sentenced to less than 4 years in prison on Thursday while serving time in FMC Carswell, a federal prison in Fort Worth, Texas. She's incarcerated there because she illegally voted in the 2016 election. Manafort, President Donald Trump's former campaign manager, received a sentence of 47 months for his conviction on multiple charges related to false income tax returns, unreported foreign bank accounts, and bank fraud. Federal sentencing guidelines recommended a minimum of 19 and a half years in prison. Now, this for him. But U.S. District Judge T.S. Ellis III said that the recommended sentence would be excessive, that Manafort has lived an otherwise blameless life. Lawyers and politicians, including Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Senator Elizabeth Warren, were outraged by the leniency of Manafort's sentence. Some compared it to the 5-year punishment that Mason received for illegally voting. In 2016, Mason voted while on supervised release on a form of probation. And she had no idea she was ineligible to vote. She had already served over 3 years in federal prison for tax fraud. But because she violated the terms of supervised release by voting, she was sent back to federal prison for an additional 10 months. That was in addition to the 5 years in state prison she was given for the illegal voting itself. See, one thing about this, brothers and sisters, when you look at the justice system, there is no justice when it comes to us. We are target. You look at things like this. You look at another sister in Florida. She is standing your ground state. You got people getting killed, black people getting killed by whites standing their ground under questionable circumstances. Hence, Trayvon Martin, a sister trying to protect herself from an abusive ex-husband, shoots in the air and get put in jail. That kind of stuff. So there is no justice when it comes to us. You look at drug laws today. You look at how crack cocaine epidemic that initially largely impacted black folks after it was pumped into our communities. You look at 3 strikes you out under the Clinton administration of the bills that were put forth that negative 101 crack cocaine disparity that negatively impacted black people. And compare that, how we were treated, compare that to the opiate epidemic now. And how that's treated as a health issue, as a problem, as an addiction. But people that was on crack using, or people that's dealing in drugs, or dealing with marijuana, how they in jail, but now you got people getting rich off of the sale of it. There's no justice. There's no justice. Let's go to I want to go to Leviticus, the 19th chapter. Because one thing about it, the Bible, the word of God, the Torah, it tells us about justice. Okay. So it says in judgment, it says in Leviticus, the 19th chapter, verse 15, it says, ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty, but in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor. See, it should be some justice there in judgment. How in the world you gonna be looking at 19 and a half years according to what they say you did? I don't know what you did. I'm not even arguing that. But the sister unknowingly vote and then get 5 years plus an additional 10 years. You don't care about black life. Certain people getting treated differently. You got people right now in the justice system that, hey, they don't have money for a lawyer. So they sitting down, and they facing charges for things that they didn't even do. But if you facing 20 years, if you don't make a plea, a lot of times people gonna make that plea. You gonna get that plea bargain. Why? Because you don't want to, because you mess around and lose, you'll be down for 20 years. So you'll take that 5. But you didn't do it. Why? Because there's no justice in the justice system. There's no justice in the justice system. Even if you look at cases right now, 90% of cases are plea bargain. They don't even go to trial. If all these cases went to trial, the whole system would be destroyed. But nevertheless, it said in Leviticus, the 19th chapter, verse 15, it says, ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty. But in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor. It should be that you rich, that you get over, that don't nothing happen to you. And because you're poor, you can't defend yourself. So how is it? Is it about what you do, with what's right and wrong, or is it about who has money and who doesn't? But then again, how can you know right and wrong if you don't know the law of God, which is the Torah, the instruction of God? That's the true standard of morality. This is why when you read in Deuteronomy the 17th chapter, that's why they had the kings write down the law, their own copy. Because you read in Deuteronomy 17 chapter verse 18, it says, it shall be when he sitteth upon the throne of his kingdom, that he shall write him a copy of this law in a book out of that which is before the priests, the Levites. And it shall be with him, and he shall read therein all the days of his life, that he may learn to fear the Lord his God, and to keep all the words of this law and these statutes to do them. Let's go to Deuteronomy the 16th chapter. Deuteronomy the 16th chapter. Because there's no justice. And one thing about it, the law tells you, when you read the Torah, it tells them that the children of Israel, they were supposed to set up judges, and they were supposed to be a certain way. Because again, judges are dealing with justice, that which is right. Deuteronomy 16 verse 18 reads, judges and officers shalt thou make thee in all thy gates, which the Lord thy God giveth thee throughout thy tribes, and they shall judge the people with just judgment. Right? Just judgment. It's supposed to be some justice. Right? You're not supposed to be able to pay the judge, pay to play. Right? So he's sending kids to jail or to juvenile detention so the juvenile detention can be filled. It should be a financial or economic incentive to lock people down. You shouldn't be able to sell stock in prisons. That's crazy, because you have an incentive. So it said, judgments and officers shalt thou make thee in all thy gates, which the Lord thy God giveth thee throughout thy tribes, and they shall judge the people with just judgment. Okay? Just judgment. It says, thou shalt not rest or distort justice. Thou shalt not rest judgment. Thou shalt not respect persons. And it shouldn't be matter if it's a celebrity or somebody that got money. It says, thou shalt not respect persons, neither take a gift For a gift doth blind the eyes of the wise and pervert the words of the righteous. You should be able to give somebody something that's putting forth judgment so that they can change the judgment. But that's what happens today. I know cases of that. I know cases of that where like the judge got paid some money. Got paid some money. The lawyer know the judge gave the judge some money. Man, this whole world is a hustle. This whole world is a hustle. Look at what's going on politically. You got a bunch of hypocrites talking about what's right and what's wrong, and they appalled at certain people, and they in the back making backroom deals. Tom, I can't believe you did that to that woman. How dare you? And you done it to some other woman. I can't believe you're such a liar, and you're a liar talking about you served the Vietnam, you earned the Purple Heart. You was a hero, you ain't even served. Bunch of hypocrites. But Micah, the 3rd chapter and verse 9, because even despite what the Torah told the people to do, they didn't do it. Micah the 3rd chapter and verse 9, it said, "Hear this, I pray you, ye heads of the house of Jacob." So those that are in power, and I always say a fish stink from their head down. It said, "Hear this, I pray you, ye heads of the house of Jacob and princes of the house of Israel, that abhor judgment." Abhor means to hate. The word judgment here is talking about justice. He said, I'm talking to you that hate justice. If you really just think about that, that just shows you, man, there's so much corruption. How in the world you gonna lock this woman down for 6 years? How you do that? It says again, "Hear this, I pray you, ye heads of the house of Jacob and princes of the house of Israel, that abhor judgment and pervert all equity." A bunch of perverts. It say they build up Zion with blood and Jerusalem with iniquity. So you making matters worse with your lack of justice. It said that, and he tells you what they're doing. It said the heads thereof judge for reward, right?